Even the best biopics take certain liberties with the truth. Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things Walk the Line got factually right and wrong. For this list, we'll be looking at the critically acclaimed 2005 biographical drama Walk the Line, and fact-checking the narrative told in the film against the real story of Johnny Cash.
What was I thinking? I must have been crazy. Y'all gonna blow this tour. You can't walk no line.
Considering the nature of this list, a spoiler warning is in effect. Number 10. June Carter wrote Ring of Fire. Right. Johnny Cash wrote more than his fair share of popular songs throughout his career, but the credit for this particular hit does in fact go to his talented wife. In one particular scene from the film, we find June plucking at her auto harp. Though not instantly recognizable in its unfinished state, she's working on Ring of Fire. Carter supposedly took inspiration from a book of Elizabethan poetry, in particular a line comparing love to a ring of fire. Co-written by Carter with Merle Kilgore around the time she was falling in love with Cash, the song was first recorded by June's sister Anita. After it failed to make a significant impact, however, Johnny re-recorded it and added the now instantly recognizable mariachi-inspired horns.
Down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
Number 9. Finding a home after passing out. Wrong. True to life, Walk the Line depicts Johnny Cash as having serious issues with substance abuse. When it comes to the specifics of when and how he overindulged, however, the filmmakers do take a few liberties. Roughly 2/3 of the way through the film, an intoxicated Johnny Cash goes drunkenly stumbling through the woods, eventually passing out. In a rather serendipitous moment, he's woken up in the morning by the sounds of construction being done on a nearby house.
Hey, that's a beautiful house!
And wouldn't you know it, the house, which instantly catches Johnny's eye, is for sale. If the whole thing seems too good to be true, that's because it is. This great moment was, in fact, dreamed up by the screenwriters.
You see, it goes from right up there, clear across halfway around the lake.
Number 8. His courtship with Vivian Cash. Right. In 1954, Johnny Cash married Vivian Liberto. In the movie, we don't see them date, but as Vivian says over the phone when Johnny talks about marriage, they apparently only dated for a month before he was deployed overseas.
Johnny, I haven't seen you for 2 years. We only dated for a month. My daddy says there's something wrong with you.
Now, you'd be forgiven for assuming that this is an exaggeration to help convey Johnny's passionate and impulsive nature to the viewer. But that's actually what happened. In reality, Vivian and Johnny only dated for 3 weeks and proceeded to get hitched shortly after Johnny was honorably discharged. Unfortunately, not everything about their relationship was so accurately portrayed.
I want to see my daddy. I want to go home, John. Please. He's just got a job sitting in there in San Antonio waiting for us. It's just sitting there waiting.
The guys are here. My band is here in Memphis.
Their children have been vocal about the unflattering, and they claim misleading light in which their mother was portrayed, as well as their parents' marriage as a whole.
I have a casserole in the oven and your sister in the kitchen, and I don't want to talk about the tour.
Viv, you're the one brought it up.
In fact, that's my new rule. When you come home, I want to get right down to talking about regular things.
Number 7. Talking his way into an audition. Right. Early in the film, we see Johnny Cash, unhappy in his life as a door-to-door salesman, look wistfully into a recording studio. It lights a fire in him and pushes him to try to make something happen with his own music. Rather than go through conventional channels, however, he just waits out in front of the studio. It's a bold move worthy of the big screen, but the real Johnny Cash was a bold man.
Excuse me, sir. You the owner of this place?
That's me,
Hello, I'm J.R. Cash.
Sam Phillips.
Well, good to meet you, Mr. Phillips. I'm a singer and I got a band. We've been working on some songs.
Much like in the film, Cash got his foot in the door by waiting at Sun Records for owner Sam Phillips to arrive in the morning. In reality, however, this wasn't his first attempt. Sam had already previously turned him away and said no multiple times by phone.
I hate to interrupt, but you guys got something else? I'm sorry. I can't market gospel no more.
Number 6. Fighting to perform at Folsom. Wrong. As most people know, Johnny Cash was something of an outlaw. He spent a few nights in jail, though he never served prison time. And nothing cements your outlaw credibility like performing at a prison.
Mr. Cash, might I suggest you refrain from playing any more tunes that remind them, the inmates that is, that they're in prison?
You think they forgot?
In Walk the Line, Cash is shown fighting tooth and nail to be able to play at Folsom Prison for the inmates who'd been writing to him. Unfortunately, this story is false, but not for the reasons you might suspect. Johnny did in fact want to play the prison. The part that's untrue is that anyone tried to stop him. You see, Cash had already established performing at prisons as his thing long before he set his sights on Folsom.
Early one morning while making the rounds, I took a shot of cocaine and I shot my woman down. I went right home and I went to bed. I stuck that loving 44 beneath my head.
Unlike in the film, everyone involved was happy to have it happen. What Johnny did have to fight for, though, was the idea of recording the performance and releasing it as a live album.
I'm fine with you doing a live record, just not at a prison. That's my compromise.
January 13th. I'll be at Folsom Prison with June and the boys. You listen to the tapes. You don't like them? Toss them.
Number 5. Collapsing on stage. Wrong. Considering Johnny Cash's hard partying ways, it's not difficult to imagine him having passed out on stage at some point in his career. In the film, just such an episode occurs while performing in Las Vegas with his band and June Carter.
All right, folks, I'm Johnny Cash. What about that June Carter? Ain't she a sweetheart? I got stripes.
Johnny's behavior and stage presence become increasingly erratic, and he's clearly struggling to sing coherently. After knocking over the microphone, he collapses, apparently having suffered from an overdose. It's a scene that certainly fits the narrative, but despite his lifestyle, Cash is not known to have ever passed out on stage, not in Las Vegas or anywhere else. Be that as it may, he was known to play intoxicated, and he did famously smash the stage lights while performing at the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh my God, John!
Number 4. The tractor accident. Right. A tractor is a serious piece of farm equipment.
Big old expensive tractor stuck in the mud. Nothing.
In the film, a visibly inebriated Johnny tries to get his tractor up a hill, and instead goes rolling back into the water. It's a turning point in his story. Sadly, this particular incident isn't just true, but it was also actually toned down. In real life, he drove the tractor off a cliff in a suspected suicide attempt and required resuscitation.
John!
And that's not the only such accident. Though not shown in the movie, in 1965, Cash caused a forest fire in California that destroyed hundreds of acres of forest. He almost died. Cash blamed the accident on a mechanical issue with his truck, but his nephew, who was with him at the time, blamed substances. Number 3. The depiction of his father and their relationship. Wrong. When it comes to relationships, it's almost impossible to portray them accurately in a biopic.
We're not selling Daddy's piano. And I'm not the one in Bardstown drinking every Saturday.
They're simply too nuanced and ever-changing for a filmmaker to be able to successfully boil them down into a reasonable running time. Johnny Cash and his dad surely butted heads over the years. What father and son haven't?
Nothing. That's what that is.
That's what that's worth. And that's what you are.
But theirs was not nearly as strained a relationship as the film suggests. For starters, his father, Ray, was actually there when Johnny performed at Folsom Prison. Johnny introduces him to the audience. But most importantly, Cash remembered his father fondly later in life, and in interviews never characterized him as abusive or negligent like he's depicted in the movie.
I'm really glad you all could be here today. Especially you, Daddy. Glad he came. The dinner, Thanksgiving and all. Not everybody's here.
Number 2, proposing on stage. Right.
I think it's about time. For you and me to get married.
Go to sleep, John.
In Walk the Line, Johnny Cash makes a big show of proposing to June Carter on stage while they're touring together.
I gotta ask June here a question before we finish this song.
What's that, John?
Will you marry me?
It comes towards the end of the film, after he's gotten clean. June is clearly caught off guard by the very public proposal, but after having turned him down so many times before, she accepts. It's a heartwarming moment, and one that's largely true to actual events. Johnny did in fact propose on stage, except he didn't interrupt his performance of Jackson to ask. He popped the question after performing it.
You got me all revved up. Now, I've asked you 40 different ways, and it's time you come up with a fresh answer.
Please sing.
Despite that minor discrepancy, he did refuse to continue the show until she said yes. Also, there wasn't a kiss. True to his word, when he got the answer he wanted, he reportedly replied, "Okay, next song." Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The death of Johnny Cash's brother. Right. In 1944, Jack Cash, who was 4 years Johnny's elder, died in a tragic accident that, like in the film, involved him being fatally wounded when working with a table saw.
I got it.
He was just 14 years old at the time. In the film, it's shown to have happened at a sawmill, but Jack worked at a high school. Unfortunately, Ray Cash blaming Johnny for Jack's death also seems to be inspired by the true story.
You hear him, JR? Do you hear them angels?
I can hear them, Jack. They're so beautiful.
In Johnny Cash's biography, his daughter Kathy says, quote, "Grandpa always kind of blamed Dad for Jack's death, and that as a result, her father, quote, had this just real sad guilt thing about him his whole life." Thankfully, there's no proof that Ray actually made his sentiments as overt as in the film.
The devil did this! He took the wrong son!
Stop, Ray.
He was the best, and now he's gone!
Don't leave me alone.
Ray!
What?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.